At 7:42 a.m. on a crisp October Tuesday in 2019, Leo Morrison backed his bright orange garbage truck up to the loading dock of Desert Sun Construction, an abandoned-looking warehouse on the outskirts of Phoenix. He climbed down, clipped on his safety vest, and greeted a foreman who handed him a single, unremarkable industrial container. The steel sides of the bin bore the same faded logo he had hauled dozens of times before, but today it weighed almost 3 times more than a load of concrete or scrap metal could ever. Leo pressed the control, and the hydraulic lift groaned under the strain as the container creaked and settled in the truck's hopper. Before I walk you through the full story, I just have a small favor to ask. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? It's always amazing to see how far this audience is reaching. No one watching the security cameras could have guessed that those vacuum-sealed bundles inside the bin held $18 million in cartel cash, money bound for one of Mexico's most ruthless trafficking organizations. As the truck's rear axle sagged beneath the hidden weight, Leo's face remained calm and professional, betraying none of the exhilaration pounding through his chest. 12 minutes later, instead of following his usual route through scrapyards and apartment complexes, Leo steered into a lonely dirt road 12 miles south of town. There, in an overgrown field far from any paved road, he shut off the engine and climbed into the empty bed. For 23 minutes, he unloaded stacks of $100 bills, carefully counting, bagging, and slipping them into a second vehicle, waiting just out of camera view. He left behind melted cell phone fragments, burned papers, zip ties stained with ink, and deep tire tracks gouged into the soft earth. Then he climbed back in, washed off traces of dirt from his gloves, and drove straight back toward the city as if nothing unusual had happened. By 9:15 a.m., observers would have sworn nothing was out of the ordinary. Leo made his routine stops downtown, chatting with janitors, emptying dumpsters, buying coffee from a familiar food truck. He even paused to help an elderly custodian lug bags of trash into a loading area, whistling lightly as though buoyed by an unspoken secret. His supervisor later recalled that morning's round with a puzzled smile. Leo just seemed happier than usual, like he expected good news. He returned to the depot at 11:33 a.m., walking straight to the locker room with an unfamiliar black duffel bag slung over his shoulder. Security footage shows him badge in, shovel off his heavy boots, fold his uniform neatly, and place his ID badge on top. When colleagues came looking 20 minutes later, the locker stood empty. No Leo, no bag, no trace of his cell phone, wallet, or shoes. He had simply vanished from a locked building monitored by 3 guarded exits. Behind the scenes, Desert Sun Construction revealed itself to be more than a front for shell contracts. Public filings showed no tax returns in years, while DEA surveillance, part of a wide-ranging operation dubbed Phoenix Rising, had quietly tracked millions of cartel dollars funneling through its doors. Federal agents believed they held enough evidence to dismantle an entire money laundering network when Leo's theft derailed their plan. Key suspects fled the country, files were burned in an arson that consumed the warehouse and melted its foundation, and the trail of illicit proceeds went cold. The more investigators peeled back the layers, the more they saw how meticulous Leo had been. Phone records tied him to Maria Santos, a bookkeeper who fed him shipment schedules, security protocols, and vault codes in exchange for cooperation with U.S. authorities. Her death 5 days after the heist, ruled a suicide but fiercely contested by family, erased the last living link to the operation's inner workings. Emma Morrison, Leo's 9-year-old daughter, had been spirited away from school the same afternoon, under custody papers forged in her grandmother's name. Weeks later, only her empty desk remained where she once sat. Then came the anonymous video posted on YouTube. Interior shots from Leo's truck of cash-filled containers rolling through the loading dock, time-stamped to his exact route. Millions watched before the channel vanished, the account untraceable even by FBI cyber teams. Months later, a handwritten note surfaced in a safety deposit box in Tijuana, taped beneath a bridge support signed by Leo, declaring the money donated to organizations fighting addiction and violence. A photograph showed a bearded man bearing a passing resemblance to Leo, standing before a colonial church tower in Valparaiso, Chile. Local records later confirmed that an American matching his description had bought a long-range fishing boat there with cash, then disappeared into the Pacific. After 18 grueling months of fruitless leads, satellite pings dead, international alerts unheeded, the FBI quietly shelved the case. Leo Morrison had planned every detail: the burned evidence, the fake identities, the safe passage for his daughter, the redirection of blood money, and his own escape to a life that official records could no longer touch. Every Tuesday at 7:42 a.m., just as he had 12 times before the heist, an empty industrial container still appears in that same Phoenix field. It sits for 23 minutes, then vanishes without a trace. Locals whisper that Leo himself returns in the shadows, reminding everyone that a simple garbage truck driver once pulled off the perfect crime, and that the line between vengeance and justice can be as thin as the metal walls of a dumpster. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.